Oh, yes! City is still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Special beyond special. Best player in the Premier League. Captain Marvel. Drogba! Rooney! Oh, wonderful! That is one Derby diamond.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
What's going on, guys? Clash of Clubs, episode 41. Myself, along with Mila and Grant, as always. In this one, we will talk about the downfall of Arsenal, as well-dressed Grant will elaborate on his thoughts on their club. We'll then talk about the potentially the worst ever European final in the history of the sport, with 17th place Spurs taking on 16th place Man United in a game that will get one of them Champions League football. We're going to touch that briefly because we're going to have Nick on next week to actually go over the tactical stuff. We'll then talk about City's dream taking a hit of second place, but more importantly, the final that they have this weekend that I just found out about 30 seconds ago. And then we'll finish up with Chelsea's pretty poor result at the weekend with Jackson being sent off.
Wait, we're talking about that one?
No, we're not.
I thought
right
we were
now.
just.
We're
I thought we
skipping
were
over.
just doing.
Yeah.
I thought we were just doing the Arsenal thing.
Well, we're doing that right now because we all get to enjoy at least the start of the episode. You know what I mean? We all get to enjoy it because we were all losers at the weekend, pretty much. So yeah. let's start there.
Whoa.
Arsenal are out of the Champions League, cementing another top four finish. That was the top four finish. That was another top four finish from Arsenal and the Gooners. Grant, you're the most well-dressed human being on planet Earth, so you should share your thoughts on Arsenal crashing out of the Champions League.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, it truly does bring me joy, especially when, as I was reminded yesterday, my club still does this sort of thing from time to time to remind me to stay humble. But before that, I don't want to forget how I felt from the time that game ended up until our game kicked off. Just elation, right? But it feels like justice served. Obviously, I'm doing this up a bit here. But when we watch that game, especially in the context of watching Inter versus Barcelona the day before, which is an unfair comparison because that's just one of the most ridiculous two ties you'll ever see. But what was it? At least 3 times in the first 10 minutes, I saw Partey lining up a long throw. And again, they did create good chances from those. I'd say the first 15 to 20 minutes of that game were all Arsenal. Facundo made a really good point to me. He made a basketball comparison saying, oh, if you're a center and you have a point guard on you, wouldn't you post them up? So in the theme of basketball, I said, to me, it feels like a bit more like foul baiting, because something we say with both foul baiting and with the way Arsenal are creating these chances, some people would use the word unethical for both situations. So that's kind of how I see it. And again, take advantage of what you can. I think the Arsenal team that is currently constructed versus how PSG are, that's the way to exploit PSG. There's a tiny little hole in the Death Star. They're really small. You have a giant team, very physical. Take advantage of it. So I understand that. You're exploiting a weakness in their team that happens to be a strength of yours. Ironically, PSG win 2-1, and Fabian Ruiz scores his first Champions League goal. So if it weren't for the prediction being right,
that's one of the craziest predictions of all time.
That's probably why. Oh, dude. I mean, I didn't expect him to just have a thunder bastard off of a second ball in a corner from the difference maker, Thomas Partey. But, I mean, that goal, I mean, kind of what I was saying, like, right place, right time. No one expects Fabian Ruiz to be the guy. He ends up being the guy. I didn't think it'd be like that, but we take our victories. Saka scoring a goal after PSG scored 2. I said Martinelli in extra time, but we'll kind of take that. He did have me spooked for a second, though. that second chance, they almost equalized on the night. Big miss from Saka. Felt kind of like that Sterling one against Lyon. Just like how, right? You're right in front of the goal. Sorry to bring it up, Mila, but just a shocking miss from a high quality player. You don't expect that from him. Out of all the attackers on that team, that's the one that you're confident in. That happens. A lot of people are getting on him for that. I'm not.
They're not in the tie if he's not playing.
Yeah,
he's the last person that deserves blame from
right. So those will happen. It's a horrible time for it to happen. Obviously,
right.
Part of the game. Just like missed penalties are part of the game, right? Vitinha goes and takes that horrific penalty. Jorginho, what have you done? That was also funny. I thought that was an Arsenal penalty when they were, we're going to the monitor. I saw a clip of they were all hyped and then it's PSG. That was a weird one. Did you guys think that was a handball? I mean, I know he didn't know it was there proximity, but it's also a very unnatural position. Also, it being a shot on target. We got a similar one against Arsenal last year as well. There was a header, I think, off target from onto Saliba's arm, and they gave it a penalty. It always just comes down to consistency for me, which we don't have. So we have no real measure. I can think of that off the top of my head. I'm sure you guys can think of ones that didn't go your way that were worse. We'll get into it with Jackson later. We have no idea. And by the way, I think that was a red.
I don't know. That one kind of felt like a ball don't lie kind of situation. Like
right. It's like given, I'm not mad at that it was saved.
He made the save, and honestly, if anything, that should have been Arsenal's kicker to get them going into the game. The momentum should have totally switched. It didn't. It had zero
make the save.
Right. And I think just to kind of wrap everything,
fucking god awful penalty.
I mean, Raya is
terrible. It was
Raya's
so
bad
slow.
on penalties, right?
That's his thing, though. I don't understand it either. Vitinha's been doing that. He scored on Allison the same way.
It was a terrible penalty on Allison.
That's his run-up. No, like that's genuinely his plan. I don't get it. I'll never understand that. It's a terrible technique. It's not. It's like if you slowed down Bruno's technique and you made it way worse. Like I don't.
But Bruno has pace on his shot.
That's what I'm saying.
Obviously, he's missed penalties, but there's pace on his shot. It's not like he's just gonna roll it one way and hope you don't go that way. Like Bruno's putting pace on his shot still. Like he'll obviously hop, but he'll still rip it if he wants to. Yeah, that
I
penalty.
honestly thought that was going to be a turning point. It never ended up being. It's funny.
Oh, because Hakimi just immediately comes down and scores, and it's Partey on the error again. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. Zubimendi's coming in for them. I think that's a good pickup, but again, I think a loud complaint would be they're not addressing the number 9 situation. But from everything we're hearing, that's going to be addressed. So we'll see what happens. I guess kind of where I wanted to finish in terms of the discussion, what I was saying earlier, Arsenal's team as currently constructed, I think it's constructed in the vision of the manager. I think a lot of people would agree with that. I believe he's turned this team into this type of team. This was the vision. I think Facundo came on here a while ago and again gave us good perspective on it. His theory is, when City pulled their pants down that first year, that's when he became a control freak. Like, we can't open ourselves up to counters. We need to be incredibly risk averse. And I think that's transforming all the way into, okay, Martinelli's going to win this corner or win this long throw. We're going to be able to set up this play on a dead ball. And again, they did create chances from him. Their plan worked. They were on top of the game. They didn't get their goal. When PSG were on top of the game, they did get their goal. And they got another one against a run of play. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they were the best team in the competition. And that I think most Arsenal fans even agree with that he's kind of losing the plot there. But he built this team this way, in my eyes, bringing in the Marinos of the world, the Rices of the world, Calafiori, Havertz, these physical players who win duels. That obviously there's more to each signing, but that's kind of that's what I see with the recruitment, everything that's gone on the past 2 years and the shift from the way they've played. That's just kind of how I see it. And you hear it all the time, but you can play that way. You just have to win. And they haven't. So it's a failure on that front. We keep saying it, but I guess he gets one more year. I don't think he's going to be out of that job. Whether or not that's a relevant discussion, I don't think it's a discussion taking place in reality. So I think he's there. So I guess next year's the one because they are saying they're going to recruit, they're going to do this. So we'll see what happens. I don't know
Granted,
where
we
they would
did
go.
get our predictions
know.
horribly wrong in some places, but I'm
You were a
confident
penalty
in
away.
predicting.
That's why you're so pissed about the
Yeah.
penalty.
No, not that. I meant the league predictions for this year.
Mm.
If we were to make a prediction for next year, my prediction is that they don't win it. So, I don't.
And it's not to
I'm
say they're
fine
not a
with
good
him.
team.
No,
It's not
no,
to say they're not
exactly.
a
This
good
is
team.
better
I
than
think
what they were
they're
doing
definitely going to
before.
qualify for Champions League
This is an
again.
improvement. Yeah, they're back in
Absolutely.
the Champions League. They're
Perennial
competing
Champions League team,
for
given the state of the
for
league.
titles. They're higher up in the table than they normally were. But is Mikel gonna finally bring them over the line? I don't think so. Which is usually when you look to move on from someone. But to Fac and other Arsenal fans' points, like who would you bring
That's
in
what
to
we
do that
always say,
job?
though.
Who can you get also? So yeah, I don't think Mikel's going to bring them what they want in a trophy, or at least a Premier
I think
League.
it was necessary
good
for him to
trophy.
come in there and do what he's done. We've said it
He's
before.
done a
And
great
obviously
job.
we love making fun of Arsenal. I'm literally wearing a fucking suit, but what he's done to build that foundation, it's not an easy thing to do. At the same time, though, you have to also understand there's been a lot of expenditure and not a lot of reward for that. They haven't been paid back in that expenditure. So you just have to look at both sides. Like it's not anytime.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean when your manager has to leave that, oh, he's this, he's that. That's not at all. Usually that ends up being the case, but I don't think it has to be that way. But you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? Like you don't want to get run out of town, but I mean, if the same thing happens next year, I cannot see them accepting it because it almost seems like there's a sense of acceptance. I think they kind of knew the league was gone a little while ago, but all of a sudden the Madrid game that gave them juice. Understandably, you beat Real Madrid like that comprehensively. You would think that really gets them going, gives you the confidence because it's more than just beating that team. Because as we're starting to see, Real Madrid maybe aren't that good of a team. It's still Real Madrid in the Champions League. Like that's got to be something to push you. They beat the batch, but PSG. I mean, they've looked really good in this competition. We should talk about that on a later episode. But that Champions League final is going to be very good, and I think that's probably two of, if not the two best teams in that competition throughout. They're going to be in the final.
I don't know. For Arsenal, for me, it's like their version of success has bred complacency. Like they've gotten to a point where they were so trauma dumped from the times at the very end of Wenger that now they're just kind of like anything is better than what it was before. And it's like,
I get it.
Their standards are low. That's the answer to that question is like ever since they went invincible, the standard has been so long as we make Champions League, nothing else matters. That's what it feels like. They were down 1-0 in a tie, had a chance to go to a Champions League final, which they've never done before, and they soiled themselves.
Well, they have, but yeah, been a while.
They soiled themselves. Like I don't know. Like I get it. PSG is a great side. Don't get me wrong, but they got beat at what they do best, right? Like their midfield got beat, their captain got beat badly, and I think I just keep coming back to the points of like, who's to say, even if they do make good signings, let's say they get Gyökeres, right? They get their 9. Who's to say that Man City isn't a completely better team than the next year? Who's to say that Liverpool don't give Slot all the money in the world and tell him, let's just go win it again. Let's go win Champions League this year. Real Madrid are going to spend money this summer. Barcelona are going to spend money this summer. And those are teams that are...
They'll steal money from someone and spend that.
And they're going to spend someone's money, right? And they have the best players in the world. So, like, you had a chance. This whole season has been the best chance at winning anything for Arsenal, and they have shot themselves in all competitions. It started with the United loss when they were up a man, didn't get the FA Cup, which, like, if you had seen the table that ran through to end up getting to the FA Cup final, they totally could be there. EFL, they got beat by a team that currently can leapfrog them in the league this weekend. right? So like there's the chance that they end up being in 4th with no trophies. And am I supposed to believe that this was a better season than the 2 years prior?
Welcome
Their
back,
best,
Wenger.
their best window. This was their best window to win anything. They aren't going to win anything, and they could be potentially in 4th.
You've made the point before, Dylan. You made it about Chelsea when you were really pressing me regarding the title race, which I was very unfortunately correct about. Your window doesn't just wait for you. Like we always see it in basketball too. The OKC Thunder with Durant, Westbrook, Harden. Oh man, you've got this really young core. You've got next year. It's your first time. Never been back, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's not how this game works. I mean, Real Madrid, obviously, I'm sure you've all heard it a million times. They go sign Mbappe. Yamal ends up being arguably the best player in the world this year. Like you can't predict this sport. You can't really predict any sport. So to your point, I still think they should be optimistic. It's not like you're just going to fall off a cliff. You're not going to end up in 8th, 10th next year, but it's about what you want. To your point, Dylan, in terms of standards, you gotta make some risky moves. It's not just some easy decision, or else it would have happened already. Someone's got to come in, and obviously it still could be Arteta. Something needs to be done, and it has to be a risk. I know he's very risk adverse now, but you might have to take a risk in the market. You know what I mean? I think Kvara in January for 70 million is a risk. PSG took the risk, and he's very good. I think. I mean,
yeah.
I get accused of bringing my club into everything, which is a fair accusation. But I think if Chelsea went and signed him, he was linked, right? It was Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, PSG, I think. I mean, Liverpool, they won the league. They're fine. If we got him, we probably would be top 4, top 5.
Yeah,
if I
you're
had
not
to
in
guess.
the race. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to take risks. I think that's the name of the game. We'll see what happens. But I think we say it every year. It's a big summer.
I think we can finally just end on a happy note with that. But I do want to eventually over the summer kind of go down and figure out if because I think Arteta is a good manager. I wouldn't call him a great one. And I think that's a conversation for the summer. No, I just don't. I don't know.
He's the guy to get them here, but he's not the guy to get them there.
Probably. But
I mean, it's a good conversation
later in the summer because I think
Facundo deserves to defend his mans.
Yeah, no, I think it's more applicable in the summer. But
yeah.
I mean, we'll see where they finish. And all I know is I'm happy with wherever they're going to finish because it's exactly kind of where we thought they would be. Trophyless, and full of weird optimism. Because
like the guy behind Mila said, "Stay humble.
Stay humble.
You must. You must. You must." I'm gonna change out of my suit.
You change out of the suit. I'll transition us into United and Spurs, and I don't even know. I want to save every tactical discussion for when Nick's on, because I think it's just funny, like that we're in this point where like neither Spurs or United have given a shit about the league for probably a month and a half now, and are in a European final that ultimately will decide if like they're fucked for the next 5 years or if they can have a chance at a rebuild. That's crazy. That's crazy. The way the sport works is bananas. Obviously for Spurs, like the chance of winning a European trophy and a trophy after everything that they've had go wrong is, an incredible opportunity. And for Ange, it might be his chance at saving his job. Can't believe I'm even saying that.
I wouldn't want to save that job at that point, but
he becomes.
I do agree.
Right there, right? Like,
yeah, of course, yeah, he'd be a legend.
He did say that he wins stuff in his second season.
I know that's the scary part.
and they've beaten United 3 times this season, so like I'm not filled with confidence as a United fan going into this. But then at the same time, it's Spurs, and this is just what they do. This is a game that they would choke.
That's the dangerous part about it, is that we can think that as fans, but you do not want.
No.
He left his.
Yeah, he did.
You don't want the team thinking that going into the game.
No,
that's just an easy example.
And I think
much smaller scale is that the City game this weekend with Southampton. we went in thinking we just walk the park with them, and they end up setting up shop pretty well. So we didn't get the result we wanted. In a final, you can't walk away 0-0. So someone's going to win that game. Yeah.
I sure hope for United's sake that after getting beaten 3 times, we haven't beat them in fucking forever, to be fair.
3 years, I think I saw something like that, yeah.
So I'd like to hope
how many of those were under Amarim?
2 of them.
It would be very Spurs to not lose to a team for 3 years. And you could say it would be very Spurs and then follow it with almost anything. Just to kind of touch on the Ange point where he might be able to save his job, I think you make a good point, Mila. I don't think he would want to even stay. To your point that he'd be a cult hero, die a villain. Don't let Tottenham decide when you leave.
So like, where does he go?
Fucking anyway. Oh, I just won Europa.
No, but like,
I think a lot of teams would be interested. I think he could do a job at a lot of spots.
Definitely agree.
I think
he has been put to
I don't think it's his level. I think he'd be able to do better than this, but just off like he'd be able, any championship team would want him. He'd be able to get a team promoted, in my opinion. I think any team that's comfortable in mid-table but wants to make a push, wants to kind of change their identity a bit, I think he could go to that type of club and be given the time and really build something there. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it kind of sounds like I'm describing him as a stepping stone manager, but I kind of see it more as he can have such a positive impact on a team and their culture. And if they get the time, if he gets the time to be embraced by a team like that, I think he'd be able to be really successful. But honestly, any of these big teams in England, there is just such a microscope. Really, anywhere you go, you're not going to get much time to really build a project. I mean, Slotted came in, just hit the ground running. They were ahead almost the whole year, like super hard to say. When he sees some adversity, that'll buy him some credit, no doubt. But it's just a tough job, and it's a tough ask, especially someone is with ideas as bold as Ange's, you know. So that's hard to say. I have no clue. If you're asking us at the end of this to try and give you a prediction, you're a shitbag like that.
Because everybody's
no clue what's going to happen.
A lot of evidence, and we're going to need to know the team sheets that are most likely going to come out, because it's a mess. And I think it's going to be an electric final.
Oh my God. There's so much to play for. There's so much to play for. I mean, you go from worse, but it's almost going to be good because of that. Like in terms of quality, right? If you're going to look at combined points in the table, it probably is the worst final. But knowing what's at stake for both clubs, obviously you brought it up, like Spurs winning a trophy, a European trophy, let alone it's been 18 years, 17 years. And then, I mean, either team you win this and all of a sudden you're in the Champions League. Both of you guys wrote this season off a while ago. And the other team, rock bottom, because you were that close to salvaging this and turning everything around, speeding up wherever you're at 2 years ahead to rock bottom, because now you're where you belong. Because neither of these teams belong in the Champions League. If we want to have that discussion, change the rules then. Don't let them get in the Europa League to begin with. Don't let a team this bad you can't change rules now. We can have that discussion. It can be a good discussion. Yeah. And United scammed one against City, who were drunk, get into Europa League, haven't lost in that tournament the whole season, but are in 16th place. Shit. Game's the game.
So, I mean, let's just say United had bounced out of Europa earlier.
Yeah.
Who maybe they win 1 or 2 more games and they're in 12th.
Yeah.
You probably win a decent amount more in the Premier League. Like, you guys
12.
clearly prioritized Europe.
Sure.
Yeah.
12.
So, okay, yes, the optics of it look bad. The 16th and 17th place teams in the Premier League. Yeah, but like at the end of the day, like the whole sport is about winning trophies, and that's the whole point of incentivizing the FA Cup winner to get Europa. Like if Palace win this weekend, they get Europa, and then they could be looking at, well, what if we prioritize Europa next season? We can bring in a crop of players with the money we just got, and we can go get Champions League, because we're not going to compete with probably the likes of Arsenal, City, Liverpool, United, Spurs for that matter, like all those teams next season in that top 4 race. So I think it's a stupid.
If Palace did it, to your point, it would be celebrated. Oh, what a smart idea. This is like Moneyball. Oh, because United are scamming the system. Oh, we can't have that. That's what it is to me. The same stuff was going on when Bowley came in and had all the loopholes, giving everyone 8-year contracts. Do something, which they did. I mean, if they do something, fair, but people really only just complain when something goes a big club's way. You should have a complaint with the rules. You don't hate the player, you hate the game. You can't blame United for that. Why wouldn't they prioritize it? Yeah.
Last thing, just give like a 30-second spiel because I'm going to ask the same question. Like,
No.
just answer it essentially. But if you're United, are you so concerned with the league performances that you would sack Amram? That seems to be the topic of conversation since this West Ham game this weekend. So if you were at the top of those decision-making processes, are you even thinking about sacking Amram, regardless of what happens?
I mean, I think it comes across your mind. Sure. I'll stand kind of where I have throughout that he's shown enough credit in the bank, not at United per se, but throughout his short managerial career that he has something there. And I think with having players to fit his system, because we always say that, we said it a lot with Potter and all that, but he does play a system that varies quite a bit from most traditional. I feel like a lot of teams are 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. He's playing a 5-back. It takes a lot to get this right. So, no.
Cool. Mila, would you get rid of Amram if you're United?
No. I think with how transparent he's been with the fans and probably, I'm guessing, the board, there's no reason to sack him. He's clearly here for the long term and looking at the long term, which is why the prioritization of the making Champions League is there. They're not going to be bringing in top quality talent without that Champions League. And I do know that Amram talked about it and said he doesn't want people just coming here to play Champions League. He wants them to come play for United. That's all fine and dandy, but it's an incentive on top of that. I'm sure people want to play for the club, but if United come calling and another 3 teams come calling with Champions League, they're not as prestigious or as historical, then it weighs on someone's mind. So I definitely see why he's just poo-pooing the Premier League, and I'm not really concerned about it.
Yeah, we've talked about it. He wanted to clear house. He wanted to show them these players aren't good enough. This is how I feel about them. So instead of adjusting, doing all this, all that, which again, he has adjusted, but it's still the same tactical setup. I mean, he's showing them, hey, we need a whole new squad, which is the same thing Ragnick said. I mean, they did it. It's still shit. So, yeah, he's not going in there. This might sound crazy, but I wouldn't say he's going into every game. All I need to do is get 3 points here. That's not necessarily the case. To what Mila just alluded to, he's got the long-term vision in because that's what he was brought here to do. That is literally his job. The people paying him are telling him to do that. So what's he going to do? Nah, I'm going to change my... No. He's getting paid a lot of money to do his job. And they asked him to do this job. This job in particular. So... I think he's shown enough to stay in that job.
Yeah, this was my biggest concern when we sacked Ten Hag mid-season was like, you're asking a guy to do an impossible job, right? And the media pressure at United is so high that this was always going to be the conversation, regardless of if we had finished in, let's just say he'd come in and we finished 10th. This conversation was going to happen. We could win Europa League, and this conversation is still going to happen. And it's frustrating because as United fans, there's in terms of the fan base, there's such a flip-floppy inconsistency between we want this manager and we need to stay consistent and do this thing. And then everyone gets outraged when we're losing games and they're not seeing the vision or the process. And I understand it. The numbers don't lie. It's been a shit season, the worst in the club's history. And he deserves it. He has a hand in that. He's not void of any skate. But yeah, his press conferences are honestly the thing that gets me through it because I'm like, yeah, he tells it how it is. There is no more bullshitting when it comes to this manager. And he's not looking to just get the easy result to get 3 points because he could do that. There's enough talent in the squad to probably put together a 4-3-3 and get results. But it doesn't make sense because then you're just back at square one. And as a United fan, I'm tired of being back at square one. You got to build with someone. If we don't do it now, then does it look like a poison chalice? Like, are you looking at this 6-month stint as a manager who's like, who do you go to with this project?
And
be
you're
like,
also
hey,
scaring off those managers. And
that's what I'm saying.
And he, from what I'm seeing, I'm sure you'd be able to vouch for it more than I could. He wants to be there. He wants to do this. And I don't think that's a hot commodity to have someone willing to be in the trenches like this. It's a tough job. To your point, you could scumbag some results and put together a better season, try and qualify through Europe in the table. You would not be building anything. These are the growing pains, and they're painful. But he is drilling ideas into the squad's head of how they need to play under him. I think he's shown that, and I think that contextualizes the 6 wins in 26, or we were 4 points off UCL when Ten Hag got sacked. When Ten Hag got sacked, it felt very overdue from a neutral's perspective. I thought it should have been at the end of the last season. I thought that he wasn't showing anything positive to start this season. Yeah, I think you have to contextualize those results, which again, this manager talks straight to the media, hears all the narratives and goes, no, that does not save the season. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed of this. I don't know. I've said it before. I feel like there's a lot of character there. And that is one of those lead by example, showing that. I mean, you see it with Bruno too, obviously, as the captain, but a lot of accountability. I think there's a lot of accountability there now, and that's huge because Ten Hag was quite the opposite, especially towards the end. He had some hilarious bars after games. So I think having that accountability is so important, man. Stick with it for a little bit.
Fairs. I'll end on a stat about the system. United have outperformed the team that they're playing in XG 20 of the 36 games that he's been in charge. 20 of 36.
Yeah, that look up. I need that stat for Potter era. I swear I was looking at XG and shit. But to your point, yeah, the players are shit. That's
20 of 36.
Yeah, that's just he's doing something.
But now we're going into an even grosser statistical game.
And I had to watch
a team that was not playing football. They were not playing football.
I had to watch this
so
game.
Frustrating.
Yeah, Mila, how frustrating.
We hit 26 shots. They hit 14 blocks.
Felt like a non-threat all game.
They took zero shots on target.
Hey, Sulemana, like 1 in every 5 things he tried to pull off, he did. And it was like, oh, and then he'd get fouled, and you win the free
kick.
So I got
a 6.2.
Yeah, it's pretty fair, 6.2.
I don't know. There's not really much to talk about in this game. I thought we were just trying to break them down the whole time. Gotti definitely frustrated. Not set up to break them down properly. Not really sure what this midfield setup was going into this. We knew we were going to come into a low block. I don't think anyone thought they were going to try to pass around us. So to not play a Doku or a Savio is absurd to me. Holland, not great, but with no service, what's he going to do? Got to reintegrate into the squad. We got to find him. Definitely a decision just to play Foden and McAtee, who haven't been getting many minutes, combined 2 of them. So, I don't know. It shows. Everyone else on the team statistically played well. And then those 3, the guys that haven't played in a while, underperformed.
Yeah, Doku came on immediate impact.
Did you guys actually play like this? The 4-2-3-1?
No, it was 2 in the back. It wasn't they didn't do a hybrid 3 in the back.
Was it the 4-2-2-2 thing again? Or was it go right back to the old system with Pep?
Nah. Vardiol was holding width. Was it? I could have sworn Bernardo was out wide. And then Rico was kind of more in the 10 space in that half spaces because Kovacic was essentially by himself in the pivot, because Southampton
we weren't building
immediately.
Much, it didn't matter.
Yeah, they did exactly. So they just pretty much threw bodies forward, and then you had Kovacic, Diaz, Akanji behind him, and then maybe one of the fullbacks or midfielders come and help out. But yeah, pretty much just all bodies forward. Southampton were in a very low block.
I just think it's interesting that if he was thrown back in and then you guys kind of reverted back to the old system that really wasn't striking. I think it'll be more telling this weekend, which we can just
I don't know how Marmoush doesn't play. I think that's the one takeaway I have. He immediately came on with his first 2 touches. He almost scored a goal. So
out of nothing.
He needs to play.
He's that type of player. He'll just find a goal, whatever side of the pitch he's on.
Goal hungry, goal hungry.
Me and Mila talked about it a little bit, Dylan, but he's kind of what we thought Nkunku would be, where it's like, oh, I don't know if he's a striker, I don't know if he's a 10, I don't know if he's a winger, but like he'll score, like he'll pop up and he'll make something happen. Like that's exactly what Marmoush is. He's explosive, really good ball striking, and just kind of just a knack for it. He just knows where to be.
Yeah, he's really good in those half spaces. He's like, if anything, he's better in almost every sense than Nkunku in that way. Like he's so good in that.
We've never even seen Nkunku there.
Yeah, but like that's kind of Pep's figured out a formula that works with Marmoush, and if it was me as a manager, I think I'd be more trying to figure out how to fit Haaland in with Marmoush than Marmoush in with Haaland, if that makes sense. Just with the current state of the season.
Yeah, sure.
Like I don't think you'd be utilizing. Haaland is just coming back from injury.
Similar to Liverpool's title story, like Man City should be in theory worried. Oh, this is top 5 race. They drop points to Southampton, but the teams behind them, they're fine. Yeah, but to your point, Marmoush on form has been red hot. Haaland just coming back, but Haaland's got one spot. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
he's not going anywhere else.
The only thing I could think is that he was resting them for this upcoming final on Saturday. And I think that's a good time to switch over to that.
Yeah. This is a really difficult matchup for both sides. I mean, Palace have been insane over the last month and a half, right? The most informed team in the league.
Relax.
They're up there.
No, I think the
form table, they're probably like top 5.
I don't think they've lost a game.
Like 5 games ago.
Have they not won like a ridiculous number of games in a row?
We destroyed them.
Oh, okay, no, they've drawn a lot of games. Sorry, apologies.
Oh, it wasn't 5 games ago.
Okay, so they've gotten a bunch of draws.
It was 6 games ago.
I don't know why I feel like they've been smashing. Oh, it's because sorry. Because
they did go on a really good run. They went on 6 straight. One of them
about a month ago, though, we did beat them 5-2, and Newcastle beat them 5-0. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do think they're
a tough team to beat.
Back factor is going to be tough. They definitely are, but if we come in playing
4 losses all year, and you got to. I mean, a draw goes to pens. Pens are a toss up.
Exactly.
Eze's been in the form of he's here. He's their danger man. He's been in the form of his life.
They're going to soak up pressure, and I think obviously Southampton, that was a different level. Respectfully, we didn't really talk too much about Ruben Diaz's comments. What did you think they were going to do? I mean, they have 11 points all year for a reason.
Of course. Right? I mean, he's not wrong, but why?
Yeah, he's not wrong. But Pep was right. I think Pep put it really well. It's like, yes, but we still have a responsibility on our end. So I don't think it's going to be as nasty of a low block, but I think Palace have better quality in that defense. And you're probably going to see a similar script to an extent. City are definitely going to have the majority of the possession. Does not take an expert to tell you that. But I mean, Palace, obviously, they're a threat on the counter. It does not take much. And to your point with Eze clicking, Mateta, I mean, that'll give him a boost, and he's awesome. But it really doesn't take much for them to break. I mean, Munoz has like 4 lungs. I mean, he is just running up and down the right side the whole game. Sarr, same thing. He's very dangerous in those counters. He'll make the line-breaking runs. I mean, it'll be interesting, and I think there's absolutely going to be chances in that game. And depending on who scores first, it can really open up.
Yeah, I think this game comes down to if Eze can have any impact for Palace. Because if he doesn't have impact, they're going to lose.
Nah.
Right?
Mateta.
But the reason Mateta's been so good
Munoz.
has been because of Eze. Like Eze's what unlocked the doors for them, dude. Yeah, no, it is.
Yes, to an extent, but it's not just him. It's not like Palmer last year, where it's like if he's not doing it, no one's doing it. But yes, it's a huge hurdle to jump if he's not on it, no doubt.
I mean, I'm just looking at this game, and the 2 games he played like crap. They got schmacked, and he got taken off.
He got a 7.5.
No, these ones right here. It's just
The
like
5-2.
yeah,
they lost. You bet.
sorry, in this Bournemouth game they weren't very good either. But like those are the games where I
Yeah.
look at and I'm like, he played bad. They can't score goals.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously their biggest threat in terms of creating something, but it also depends on what City give them, which again, in a cup final, you wouldn't think much. They've been here
That's
before. They know what they're doing. They're not going to expose themselves to that because, again, Palace are not going to change their approach. You know exactly how they're coming into this game and what they want to do. So I think that favors Pep in that sense. But Glasner's no slouch. I mean, he's won a Europa League final. Like he's been in big stages before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to execution. You could probably say that about
100%.
literally any game. But in that sense, the tactical approach, because you know exactly how Palace are coming out. Pep, known overthinker in a cup final, perhaps. Can he beat the allegations one more time? It'll be exciting, though. I'm pumped. And Dylan, I'm sure you're pumped. You just found out it was this weekend.
Yeah, I had no idea, but I honestly, obviously, I want to see City lose, but like I could care less. Honestly, my head is so far.
Well, if my
behind it
fucking
right?
team misses Champions League and Palace win, we might get bounced to Conference League again.
Insane. Mila, what do you think City need to do to win this game, and follow up to that question was, what's the importance of winning this trophy in the context of the season?
I think it'd just be nice. I don't know if it's be all end all of the season. Like
Nice.
if we win it, we win an FA Cup trophy, and it's a nice little cherry on top of this disgusting shit show of the season. And if we don't, then just accentuates how bad the season was. So either way, we're gonna have a sour taste in our mouth, win it or not. I do think that we need to have a little more structure in the midfield. That's what's been working for us. Go back to that 4-2-2-2. I don't know why we don't just play Holland and Marmoush at the front two, and then have a KDB, whoever, Bernardo, if you want to do that. But the Bernardo Kova pit has been doing pretty well. So maybe just the unction in the midfield, if you want to do that. I'm not a big fan, but Nico G hasn't played minutes.
No.
Any minutes lately. So
Yeah, I forgot about it.
yeah, we're gonna have to probably go with the older guys. Nico O'Reilly out at left back, Nunes back in the squad. Guvardio and Diaz was working.
Go with what's working, yeah.
Exactly. So we're probably just gonna revert back to what was working, and then throw Holland back in. Hopefully, he can make something.
That was my guess. So I don't have anything else to say. I just hope that it's a good game. The last couple FA Cup finals haven't been good games necessarily. Yeah. They've just been games. I'd like to think that with Palace in this, it would be more.
Last year was good.
Just more of a spectacle.
Last year was a
good
good
game. Great for me, but like the game itself was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like City lost. Like it wasn't like I didn't think that game was like good. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, oh, this is an FA Cup final, magic of the cup.
Sure.
This has the potential to have some magic of the cup feel because it's like a City team looking for like
something,
like you said, the cherry on top, and then Palace, who just don't normally get in these situations, have a chance at Europa.
I'm hoping that factors into it so that they don't normally get into these situations, and it might be a little too much for the players to handle. I know you said that guys in these sort of games before, but most of their players have not. So
Mateta was just in the Olympics.
Big game. That's right.
Silver.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that if I had to pick somebody, I'm picking. Do we want to do a prediction real quick?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think 1-0 Palace, Mateta.
Thanks. Yeah. Stupid. All right. So, Chelsea.
So we're done. Oh.
Chelsea. And this is a summary of the game right here. Right? Grant. Yeah. Take it away. Take it away. I don't know.
Man, I mean, started the game on brand. Just bad giveaway. Chalaba, a bit of a hospital pass. Lavia gets it taken off of him. Jammy goal, but they get ahead early. They were on top most of the half. I thought this was a really smart approach from Eddie Howe. I think he deserves a lot of credit. The film would say when a team has a 3-back, we have a 3-1-6 in possession, right? Instead of having a double pivot, that guy's more of a 10. Caicedo at right back, you can't do that, right? And they knew we were going to come out like that. So I think it was really good from Eddie Howe. They looked really good most of that first half. And then Jackson taking out his frustration on Fabian Schär, or was it Botman?
It was
Either
Botman.
way, yeah, inexcusable. Some people arguing about it being a red or not. It does not matter. I mean, I'm the same person who was happy when the Southampton player got sent off for pulling Cucurella's hair a little bit. It's the same thing. Why would you put yourself in that situation? It's selfish. Now he's out for the rest of the season and one game into next year. We don't have a striker other than him. So comes back to what I've been screaming from the rooftop. We should have addressed this in the summer, should have addressed it in January. Here we are with no striker again. You really have to hope and pray. What I will say about the game before kind of going into what's next, the second half was a completely different game. I would even argue we were the better team with fucking 10 men. Reece came on. And a lot of those players were doing work for two. Caicedo always does, but he was everywhere. Reece went to right back, Caicedo in midfield. Caicedo played as one of the 10s in possession, back into the pivot, out of possession, sprinting back, making tackles. I mean, he was unbelievable again. That man deserves to be in the Champions League. That he should be playing on that stage. I think Reece James was really good. I know you asked before we started recording if he was playing up top. He did have a gilt-edged chance we missed right towards the end, but I don't know. They showed so much in that second half. I'm not as worried about the next two games, which I shouldn't be on paper because you have a United team who could not care less about what happens unless they want to play spoiler, which I'm sure that'll give the players on the pitch motivation. But, I mean, what's that done them the past 3 months? And then Forest, who are capitulating. Still a tough team to break down. It's going to be a low block we'll have to break down, which has been our biggest test all season. So that's still a tough game. But that second half gives me the confidence that they understand how important this is. Jackson, it really is heartbreaking, genuinely, for me at least. He has his defectors, especially outside of our fan base, but I've always been of the thought that, like, this is a very talented player. Talent does not always equal application, but I know what I've seen and the flashes that I've seen to go with the production he's given while not being that finished product. I thought I should have faith in that. The faith was not repaid, and it, quite frankly, is going to take a lot to pay back. We got a brief today that he feels bad. Come out and say something then. Apologize. You know, I'm open ears. Again, I think it'll take a lot of time to pay back what you did, especially if we end up missing out on Champions League. Again, he wouldn't be the sole reason, but I think people would remember that the most. But you can't, in that type of situation, like the past 2 years, for example, Caicedo's been 1 yellow away from a suspension for like 10 games. No yellows. As soon as that resets, he's in the book. This discipline, he understands that he cannot get a booking for his team's sake. And Jackson, in the moment, obviously, I'm sure it was a mistake. He regretted doing it probably as soon as he did it. But you still can't do that. It is just not an acceptable thing to do. You cannot let that happen. That shouldn't even cross your mind. He was really bad against Liverpool, too. So that's 2 games in a row now. He's kind of carried that attitude. He cares. That's one thing you cannot take from him. But the negative of that, and I was told this as when I was younger as an athlete, if you care too much, now you're starting to be a little selfish. And I would be the same way where if I'm bad, I don't even care if the team's doing it because I need to be better. Sometimes it comes from a place of good where I need to be better for my team. And as a striker, I'd love that mentality. But sometimes it's to the detriment. He cares too much. and it ends up hurting us. So that's kind of what I see on the whole Jackson situation, but it really stinks. It really stinks. I hate to see it, but unacceptable. There's no room for that.
It's tough. I feel for him. I feel for him as a player. I mean, look, it's a
As a
bonehead
person,
decision.
I feel for
And
him more as a
he's
person.
gonna get the blunt of the blame here. Look, you guys decided to live and die with Nicolas Jackson as your 9. That was a
That's what our
choice.
sporting directors did. Yes.
That was the choice. And to his credit, he was pretty good, and you guys are a better team with him in the side.
I agree.
His decision to go and make that bad decision is what could potentially cost you guys Champions League, and it'll get blamed on him. Even though the reason you guys aren't going to make, if you guys don't make Champions League, it would not be his fault.
No.
So
the last person's getting blamed. It's always how it goes. Yeah. To your point, that was a decision our sporting directors made where we've been talking about a striker all the time and, we're going to get one, but we don't need it yet. Well, what do you mean? We either need one or we don't, in my eyes. Well, what do you mean we don't need one yet? We'll get it next summer. What?
It's crazy. This could be his last game as a Chelsea player. Like, that's the imprint that I'm getting 100%. From the fan base.
And we just gave him a contract extension.
Reaction is that could be his last game as a Chelsea player because he made one bonehead decision.
It could, because that's the standards. We talked about it earlier. There's standards here. We have not been where we need to be, but we have aspirations to get back there. Whether or not we're acting on those aspirations, and you know how I feel about the sporting directors, I don't think they are. They think the window is for 10 years because everyone's under contract for 10 years. I think there's somewhere we can meet in the middle there, as I've been saying. But I think it's on those guys because now in the 2 biggest games of the season and then another cup final after Nottingham Forest, another cup final because I'm treating the Nottingham game like a cup final. But you don't have a striker or a rested team now going into your European final. Whether or not it's the Conference League, this group needs a trophy. We've talked about that enough before, but they need something to build off of. They need to know what it's like to win something. But I think, I talked about the apology. Lavia apologized. I don't think he had anything to apologize for. And he came out and said, unacceptable. See you Friday. Like, that's the mentality I want. Go be mentality monsters. Like,
do you think
United?
Yeah.
We should beat United.
Going to play in the final?
Conference League?
Yeah.
He's the only fucking striker we have. I would imagine he does.
That'll be the most telling thing about his future with the club is if he plays.
I agree. I think that's.
What are we gonna do? Who else would we do? George, false 9. Like,
if you and other.
But if he did not start, 100% he's gone. If that's what you guys are saying, yeah, I'd agree.
I think that's the conversation that has to be had. Like, do you just run with the guys that are gonna?
We'll see what happens in these last 2 games because if these guys shit their
pants,
and we do not finish in a Champions League spot, I think Jackson's going to be up top. But if we go out there, and again, we probably should, but we go out there and beat Man United convincingly, and then we go take care of Nottingham Forest, he might roll with that team depending on how it looks, no doubt, because they're going to be on an all-time high, and you only get 2 days before that cup final. You get 2 days rest and then Conference League right after the last game of the season. So if that team's rolling, I think you roll straight in. But lots of questions to be answered in the next few weeks. Of course, it comes down to it when we could have taken care of it ourselves. Got a lot of favors in the standings too. Mila was out here this weekend, and all these results are just going our way. And as I saw a tweet like, we win and we're 1 point off second. As soon as that starts happening, I always get this thought in my head, like, stop. Like, don't even stop reading that. Like, you know what's going to happen, but I'm guilty myself. I get ahead of myself. I start looking, okay. And then stay humble. You got to stay humble. Holland was right. Like, I need to shut my ass up and worry about my team. I don't need to be worried. There's all these mental gymnastics of, if Villa do this, go win your games. I said it like a month ago, but like, wherever we end up is where we deserve. Go beat 2 teams that are pretty bad form right now. And you're in the Champions League. I would have taken that if you told me at the beginning of the year, 2 games left, win both, you're in. What are we doing? Yeah.
I think that sentiment is good to end the episode on. You guys cool with that? Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, it's all about staying humble. At the end of the day, it's all about staying humble. It's all about winning your games and staying humble. But
Do you have the Havertz crying from last year?
I wish I did.
That'd
It's
be
all
good
good
one.
because us three, we're a clash of clubs. This is
And we're real happy.
41. Yeah, I'm the happiest I've ever been. But I'm cool with this being.
I'm so happy.
So we shall see you guys in the next one.
Words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal. Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent. Potentially life-changing. That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.